So a few cars unfortunately missing then from the grid for this final race, but still plenty of quality machinery in the field, although we've got the car of Sam Silvestro into the pits, so some dramas for Silvestro before we even get the race underway, and that spot will be left vacant on the grid. Green flag at the rear of the field though, and it's the flying Kiwi Aaron Prosser who leads the championship by 9 points ahead of Will Harris, who will start from pole. Lights out and away we go. Good start for Aaron Prosser and for Matt Chick. Chick, if anything, slightly stronger in the acceleration phase of the start. He will go door to door with Aaron Prosser on the run through turn number 1. Lachlan O'Hara immediately moves up into third position. We've got the rest of the field sorting themselves out and slotting into single file as they head down into the braking zone for turn number 2. Matt Chick not giving up without a fight, but in the end he has to tuck back in behind Aaron Prosser as they negotiate their way through the left-hand hairpin. Good tidy start. Been so impressed with the performance of Matt Chick this weekend. Not been in any race event as such since 2011, but has got back into it. He said just like getting back on a bike was his comment to me. But saying that, he gets a bit sideways as they run up through turn number 5. Gets it all crossed up. A lot of dust getting kicked up on the exit of that corner. We'll wait and see if he's lost positions. He has. In fact, he's lost about 4 or 5 spots. Matt Chick, he'll tuck back in behind Jake Lauer and just ahead of Daniel Reynolds. And there must be garbage on Matt Chick's tyres because he was very sideways under acceleration through turn 6.
He's actually dropped a lot of positions there. Daniel Reynolds is almost off the track coming through down in towards the hairpin. Matt Chick looks like he's got a problem with the rear of that car with the front tyre.
The tyres come off. It's a left rear puncture for Matt Chick. Just when you give the driver a rap, the commentator's curse strikes. That is seriously bad luck for the driver who has been arguably the most impressive of the rookies in the field so far this weekend, and he's obviously going to have to try and limp that car back to pit lane and get that issue resolved. Obviously, by the time that gets sorted, he'll be well behind the field if indeed he can get back out onto the racetrack. So that leaves Aaron Prosser in the lead ahead of Lachlan O'Hara. Will Harris, who's been steadily working his way through the field all weekend after qualifying way down in 21st, is now up into third position, just ahead of Brad Harris, his brother, but Brad Harris is going to be copping a 5-second time penalty for a jump start.
Well, that's unfortunate for Brad, but it helps the people behind him, I suppose. We've got Nick Dunkley right up the back of Justin Barnes trying to get past. He's on Benny Silvestro around the outside of Dunkley through turn 2. We've got Shannon McLean in that mix as well. As Prosser comes down the hill towards turn 5, Lockie O'Hara behind him. Lachlan O'Hara looking at a first podium at a third place if he can just hold his position in this race for the meeting. Which would be great to see. He's been coming forward in leaps and bounds for the last probably 3 or 4 race meetings. I did mention in commentary yesterday that Lockie drove our car at the 6 Hour at Bathurst this year, and he was absolutely outstanding. He did a beautiful job, and I think that's done absolute worlds for his confidence in the Rx8 Cup Series.
Your son Shannon McLean getting more and more comfortable in wheel-to-wheel combat with other cars this weekend as well. We know that his lap speed's there because he was posting some impressive times in practice and qualifying, but like you said earlier on, when you're actually having to race in a pack with other cars, the awareness of what other drivers' behaviour is going to be just takes a bit of time to build up that confidence.
Most definitely. You need to learn all the guys around you and how they drive, and some give a little bit more than others, and it's a real learning curve for him. But I think this race, actually his start was a very good start. He missed second gear, but he got off the line nice and briskly. As we've got Lachlan O'Hara dropping a wheel coming onto the main straight, he's held his position. But Shannon, yeah, I'm very happy with how he's gone. He's it's purely a confidence thing, Lockie. The more he drives, the better he'll get. His lap time, his raw speed is there. He just needs to learn to race.
So with the positions as they are at the moment, Aaron Prosser will extend his points lead to 13 over Will Harris with 1 round remaining at Wakefield Park. And I have to say that if you'd asked Will Harris after he qualified 21st yesterday morning. If you'd suggested to him that he'd only be 13 points off the championship lead heading to Wakefield Park, he probably would have taken that every day of the week, I reckon.
Most definitely, when you've got a blown motor and you're not really sure what you're putting back in the car, so it's been a sterling effort by the whole Harris clan. And they've done this many times before, as well as Nick Dunkley being involved in it. They're a big group of sort of 3 or 4 cars, and it's whatever you have to do to get the car fixed to get it back to the track. They've rebuilt cars. I remember this meeting last year, Nick Dunkley had a big accident and they took his car away and rebuilt it overnight and back in business the next day. And they've done exactly the same with Will's car this meeting, so credit to them.
And I reckon Justin Barnes is having some more drama. It's just suggested before that the engine might not be completely on song in Justin Barnes' car, and he's just given away about 5 positions over the back part of the circuit. Nick Dunkley got past and was very rapidly followed through by Nandy Kiss, Elliot Maloof, and also Aidan Riley in the number 19 car.
I saw Justin's car after they got it running, after they changed the oil cooler, and it was blowing a lot of smoke, and I was starting to think then that he may have done some engine damage through running it with low oil pressure. It would appear that he's got an issue with it now, so we'll see how that one plays out.
Incidentally, Matt Schick, after that flat tyre that we saw on the opening lap, has made it back out onto the racetrack, but he is a lap down. So he's still out there and he's still going to get points, but there he is on screen. In fact, he is a lap behind everybody else. So at this point, what he really needs to do is just stay out of everybody's way.
That's exactly right. And we've got Shannon McLean actually having a dive on Nick Dunkley into turn 1 at almost 200 kilometres an hour. It didn't come off, but he's definitely trying to have a bit of a go. We've got the 2 Harris boys. Brad Harris has just let Will Harris go through, so Will's on the hunt now. I'm pretty sure that puts him into the top 3.
Does indeed. So looking at the round points as well, so that's probably the other consideration as well. So at the moment, as things stand, Aaron Pross will win the round. That's not too hard to work out. Pole position and 3 wins from 3 races. Lachlan O'Hara's on target to finish 2nd overall for the round. That would be his best overall result in the Mazda Rx8 Cup. And the one who's looking to complete the podium at the moment will be Daniel Reynolds. Once the 5-second penalty is imposed for Brad Harris, that will move Daniel Reynolds up to be in an overall podium position, and that would be an outstanding performance for Daniel Reynolds in his debut in the category.
Most definitely, and in a lease car that's not his, it's one of Sam Silvestro's cars. Daniel's done a great job since he's been here. Since he got here on Friday, he's been fast, and it just shows that just being consistent and finishing every race and being in that sort of top 4 or 5 area, you can do very well in this. We've got Jake Lau down the inside of Brad Harris coming through the final complex. Jake moves up a spot coming onto the main straight.
Jake Lau, another driver, has really come on in leaps and bounds this year. He was very fast at the bend as well. He's been getting some driver coaching from Phil Alexander from the Raceway Track Time organisation, and it's really been helping him with his focus on race weekends.
And this is a young kid who, at the beginning of this year, I did some work on his car for him, and talking to his dad, Gary, Jake had never driven a race car, he'd never driven a car on semi-slicks, and he'd never driven on a racetrack in his life before he bought this RX8. And he did a little bit of driving on the road to get used to it, and he's just got dead set raw talent. Lovely young fella, lovely family, and great to see him doing so well. It's great to see the young kids coming through, Lockie.
Brad Harris trying to get up the inside of Daniel Reynolds, but Reynolds hangs tough on the outside, and he will maintain that position as they head through turn number 3. So that moves Daniel Reynolds up another spot. Brad Harris gets relegated back to 6th position, and of course he's still got that 5-second time penalty that's going to be added on to his race time at the end of this race as well. Prosser continues to lead the way, 5.5 laps to go. Only 7 tenths of a second between Aaron Prosser and Lachlan O'Hara, so the battle for the race lead is not a foregone conclusion yet either.
Not at all. I was having a talk to Lachlan before this race when he's sitting in his car, and I said, mate, you've just got to go out there and do this one smart so you can finish on the podium. But Lockie's a racer, and if he can smell a victory, he'll definitely go for it.
We're talking to his dad, Scott O'Hara, during the lunchtime break. on our live stream, and one of the questions that I asked was how much has Lachlan's previous experience in Formula V helped? And Scott's answer was absolutely, particularly with the racecraft and with having to battle in packs with other cars, because that's what we see so much of in Formula V.
Most definitely, and when you're at the front in this, and the cars are so close together, it's very hard to make an overtake. You've just got to put pressure on the guy in front of you, and if they make a mistake, take the advantage and make good of that opportunity. The field's actually spread out a little bit now, but it's actually been some great racing this weekend. Just a bit of a plug. I know that I'm trying not to be too biased here, but Shannon McLean is up in 8th position in this race, and absolutely wrapped for him. He's done a great job so far.
Best lap time of 1 minute 51.6. Best overall lap that we have seen in this race, minute 49.9, which was set by Brad Harris on the second lap. Cross has just responded a bit to the pressure from Lachlan O'Hara, opened up the margin to 1.1 seconds. We see Elliot Maloof and Nandy Kiss squabbling over position. They are battling for 10th and 11th position.
There's another young fella in Elliot Maloof who's come forward in leaps and bounds over the last 2 or 3 race meetings as well. He hasn't done the whole series, but that's actually Aaron Pross's old car from last year that Elliot's driving, and he's actually done a very good job, and Nandy Kiss behind him. Well, Nandy's a seasoned campaigner. He's been around for as long as I have. It was great to see him as part of the major Rx8 Cup this year as well.
Another driver having a decent run in this race. We haven't seen too much of her on screen this weekend, but Maisie Place, the female competitor in this series, she's got down to a 1 minute 56.6. Pretty sure that'll be her personal best lap time here at Sydney Motorsport Park. It's a couple of seconds quicker than what she achieved in qualifying. There she is on screen at the moment. The mechanic from Canberra who does a lot of the preparation work on her own car. She actually works for John Waterhouse, who's very heavily involved on the technical side of things with the Mazda Rx8 Cup.
Yep, John Waterhouse owns Reliance Automotive in Canberra, and he's our chief technical scrutineer, if you like. He makes sure that he's the man in charge of making sure the cars are all parity-wise exactly the same, and all the control components are fitted. And we couldn't do this without John Waterhouse and Andrew Caldwell, who is our driving standards officer. They're both at every meeting. They do this for nothing. They're volunteers, and it's great to have them both on board.
In a one-make series like this, it really is important to have that technical enforcement looked after really well, because when the cars are so evenly matched, you don't need much of an advantage for it to actually translate to quite a big advantage on the racetrack. So in the interests of containing costs, making sure everything's done fairly and that all of the cars are equal, you really do need to make sure all of that technical side of things is spot on.
They do lots and lots of checks over the weekend, from shock absorbers to throttle bodies to diffs to gearboxes, just to make sure that everyone's on their toes and everyone's doing the right thing. And I think we've got a good category. I don't believe there's any cheating going on. The cars, parity-wise, are very, very close. And when it's like that, it comes down to driving, and that's what the series should be all about. It's cheap, affordable racing, and the Rx8 is a sensational car to drive. Very well balanced, not a lot of power, sensational brakes and handling. Just makes for a great little race car.
Nick Dunkley battling it out, continuing his squabble with Elliot Maloof at the moment. We saw that Nick Dunkley was third in the championship last year, had a really consistent season, but there's contact with Elliot Maloof on the exit of turn number 15. The front of Elliot Maloof's car getting to the back of Nick Dunkley's car, and that just checks up the momentum of those drivers, and that will invite Nandy Kiss into the fight as well. Damage now to the front left-hand corner of Elliot Maloof's car as a result of that brush that we saw between the two cars. And just behind Nandy Kiss is Adam Dodd, on debut in the Rx8 Cup this weekend, driving one of the Rickshaw Racing entries. But Adam Dodd, a driver who's had lots of experience racing in Mazdas of all different shapes and sizes. He's raced everything from an MX-5 to a Mazda 6 diesel to a Super Ute.
Adam's a lovely fella, and he's obviously